With just 2 months until Election Day, the race for White House is not the only key decision American voters will make. Just a handful of tight races around the country will determine if Republicans hold on to their 53-seat majority in the 100-seat U.S. Senate. A dynamic that will have far-reaching consequences for the country's political agenda over the next 2 years. Take a look.
The Republican convention in Charlotte is now over, but the political battle in North Carolina hasn't stopped.
We're being tested as a country, but I've always run to the fight. After 9/11, I volunteered.
State Senator Cal Cunningham, one of many Democrats across the nation running to unseat sitting Republican senators like his opponent, Tom Tillis.
And I'll remember who needs it the most. I grew up with strong parents and humble people and humble places.
With its mix of rural, urban, and suburban areas, North Carolina is an ideal indicator of the nation's political mood.
North Carolina is very much a microcosm of the nation as a whole because our state is very bitterly divided. It's that last sliver of persuadable voters that could flip from one side to the other that really makes North Carolina as competitive as any place else in the country. And this year we have the presidential, a U.S. Senate race, and a governor's race.
I'm Cal Cunningham. I approve this message.
Polls show Cunningham leading Tillis by about 5 percentage points. President Trump is playing a key role in this race.
I think the national dynamics plays out here in North Carolina, particularly for the U.S. Senate race, just because Tom Tillis was so closely aligned to President Trump before COVID. But when COVID hit, he kind of started to tack more towards the middle, not really talking about Donald Trump. But I think that die is pretty much cast in terms of the relationship between the two.
The coronavirus is also a key issue in Iowa, where Republican Senator Joni Ernst,
we thought we had seen the worst,
is locked in a debate with Democratic challenger Teresa Greenfield.
And you better believe we're facing a crisis like nothing we've seen before.
Over the severity of the pandemic, a sign the national dynamic will play more of a role in the Senate races this election cycle, analysts say.
We're waiting to see how folks either defend the president in his handling of the coronavirus pandemic or whether they're trying to distance themselves a little bit, and that'll depend on how much it's impacted the state and how much that particular senator, Joni Ernst in this example, is willing to attach herself to a president who's by and large hasn't received glowing reviews by how he's handled this pandemic.
In Maine, Susan Collins is familiar with national attention after her high-profile vote confirming Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh and acquitting Trump in the impeachment trial earlier this year.
Thank you very much.
The Postal Service is a lifeline.
She's running behind challenger Sarah Gideon, who raised millions of dollars criticizing those votes. But in Alabama, President Trump's support for Republican Tommy Tuberville has been a huge boost, giving him a double-digit lead over Democrat Doug Jones, who will likely lose his seat.
And it's all going to come down to turnout, and especially in places where Trump surprisingly won in 2016, and those abilities of those senators to use their state dynamics independently from the nationalized Trump election, right? To speak to their specific states, to distance themselves when appropriate, to align themselves when appropriate.
Democrats also hope to win seats in Colorado and Arizona. They will need to pick up 3 seats if Biden wins, 4 seats if Trump wins. Catherine Gibson, VOA News, Washington.